in life.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you. So Mary, you have the platforms to start. Let's know what you have for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the privilege. I'm so grateful. And I thank God too for the privilege. So my name is Miria Banobe, and I'm from Nigeria. I'm a nursing student at WIT in Iowa in the United States. Like I said, I'm studying nursing, and coming to the United States, it's been an experience, so to say. So I'll be talking on the undergraduate opportunities in the United States, but I'll focus my emphasis on studying the difference between college and university, and then what it takes to apply for an admission for professional courses like nursing, medicine, and some other arts courses. And I also talk about possibility to transfer some credits from your country to United States while for studying. Okay, so I'm going to begin with differences between college and university. As we know, in the United States, after high school, you get into college or you get into the university. And one of the major differences between a college and university in the United States is that the universities offer both graduate and undergraduate programs, whereas in the colleges, you are only able to graduate with an associate degree, which is a very major difference between the college and the United States. So in the colleges, they offer a variety of majors like in arts, in natural sciences, in health sciences, in social sciences, in engineering and community services, and so on. Whereas in the university, you can go straight, and at the end, you are graduating with a bachelor's degree, and you can also go ahead to get a graduate program. Then another major difference is that, okay, in the colleges too, you can go for some particular subjects like biology, chemistry, history, arts, social work, and the rest. Another major difference between college and universities, which is why people prefer to start with a college, is the expense, especially for undergraduate programs, And if you do not have any scholarship means, it's way easier and it's advisable to start through a college because of the cost difference. As we all know, it's very expensive to study in the United States, and it is more expensive to start applying to university if you don't have any means for scholarship. So that is why colleges are more preferable to start with than the universities. So, like, for instance, in an average, the average range for tuition fees in the college can range from about $9,000 to about $11,000, whereas in the universities, for private universities, it can range from $36,000 to about $55,000, and then in public universities, it can range from $18,000 to about $27,000. So you see, like, the wide gap from college to universities. And then the second thing I'd like to talk about is how to apply for admission undergraduate program through to a college or either to a university. As an international student, the first thing you should get into your mind is where am I going to? Do I want to start through a college or do I want to start through the university? And when you make up your mind on that aspect, you begin to search out for schools, which school is less expensive, which one is not affordable. And then you begin to look around for the particular state that you wish to study in. Most international students go for states with low standard of living compared to states with higher standard of living, like California and New Jersey, Texas, and the rest. So it's good to start with a state that's not expensive. And so scholarship opportunities, you begin to browse for scholarship opportunities for international students. Most schools, when you apply to their school, like when you want to apply to their school, you see scholarship opportunities that you can apply for, and then you go through them. And then by then you should have your IELTS, you should have your TOEFL, IELTS or TOEFL, which one, anyone that they prefer. And then you should have your SAT or ACT, as well as your letter of recommendation. And if you don't have a scholarship, you should be able to show a proof of how much, like who is going to sponsor you in the university that you're going to. Depending, some universities usually ask for a proof of sponsor or means of finance for them. I'll share a story. I have a friend that came to United States to study engineering, and he applied to a university in I can't remember the state, but it's here in the United States. But when he came, it was too expensive for him to afford. And so he had to think of something else. He had to write a letter to the school, asking the school if they could transfer him to a college so that he can continue his course in the college. And it was accepted, it was approved, and then he got transferred to my own college where I study. And now I'll start talking about application to a college. It's like general, it's still the same thing. You have to have your ACT or your SAT, you have to have your TOEFL, or you have to have your IELTS, anyone that you have, and then you have to have a letter of recommendation as well. Then you make application to the school. And then the next thing is you already set your mind, because in a college you are qualified for an associate degree program. You're not qualified you cannot get an undergraduate program, like an undergraduate or a graduate program. So what he did was, when he transferred to the college, he already knows that he's going to stay 2 years. It takes 2 years for you to get an associate degree in engineering, in nursing, in social sciences, some courses in social sciences, in some courses in natural sciences too. It takes 2 years for you to get that degree in a college. And so after that 2 years, you can transfer to a university and then you can transfer to a university and get a bachelor's degree in 2 years, which is approximately 4 years. So most of the courses in universities take 4 years for you to get a bachelor's degree. So it's way easier for you to start from a college. So you get 2 years, an associate degree, and then you transfer to a university for another 2 years to get a bachelor's degree. So it was way better for him to come down and start from a college. And one of his major challenges was he was not able to transfer his credits, because he was in engineering in Nigeria. He was not able to transfer his credits even to the university he applied for before coming to the college. He was not able to transfer any of his credits for engineering, which is, it's important to note that as an international student, especially in professional courses, you may not be able to transfer, depending on the school. It will be really difficult for you to transfer your major courses. Like for nursing now, it would be very difficult for you to transfer some nursing courses that you took in Nigeria, but you can be able to transfer general courses. I was able to transfer my general courses, some of my general courses, like maths, like English, and then some other general courses. And then depending on your grades as well, like in anatomy and physiology for nursing courses now, or for medical courses, depending on your grade, if you have like very good grades, like an A or a B, probably like an A, you can transfer to you can transfer those courses like in anatomy, physiology, and some other important courses in medical line. You can transfer those courses to the college or to the university that you are going for, and then to be waived off for you, and then you can continue. But besides that, you are not able, I will not say you are not able, but it's very difficult. It's only minimum for it's rare for your main courses to be transferred, to either a university or a college. So I've talked about like transfer, how to transfer. Is it possible to transfer courses to colleges or universities? And I've also talked about differences between studying in college and studying in university. And I also want you to know that studying in the United States, it's a very good privilege. And there's how, like, unlike in Nigeria, there's no room for you to like work in the school as well as studying, and unlike in some other countries in the world. But here in the United States, you can be able to work as a student, even as an international student, and gather some funds for your tuition fees. Like currently in the school where I work, where I study, as an international student, you can be able to work, but you're eligible to work in the United States, so, but you're only eligible to work outside the school if you've stayed in the school for at least 1 year. Then you're eligible to work outside the school. So you don't have to bother about funds, so to say. You don't have to bother about I don't have the funds to meet up, because there are job opportunities for you. There are so many job opportunities. And like, as I've said before, there are scholarship opportunities for international students. You may not have any scholarship opportunity to come into a college as an international student, but once you're in the college, there are opportunities. There are scholarship opportunities for you as an international student to pay off your fees. There are loans too that you can get as an international student for you to pay off your fees. And then there are few grants. There are few grants for international students in the school. I think there are like two major grants that you can apply, and if it goes through and you're successful, then it can help, like you can qualify, and it can help you source out funds in college. So that is the major thing I'd like to discuss. And then coming into my own field in nursing, I know so many persons really want to study nursing in the United States, and they're like asking questions. How does it go about? How long does it take to study nursing in the United States? And I've said something like that before, but I'll still go through it again. First of all, in the United States, like there's a college and there's a university. So starting nursing, you can either apply to the university, and like I said, which is very expensive to start an undergraduate program, except you have a scholarship, except you have a fully funded scholarship. Then you can go ahead and apply for nursing and professional courses in the United States. Aside that, I would advise you to go to a college. So going to a college, 2 years in college, you are certified as an RN. After 2 years, you write your board exam, which is the NCLEX, and if you pass, you are certified as an RN, a registered nurse. And after that, you can transfer. There's this program we call RN to BSN program. So that is if you want to go into your master's, without you can't have you can't go into master's without a bachelor's degree. So if you want to go into the master's program, or even if you don't want to go into the master's program, but you want to have a bachelor's degree of science in nursing, then you have to transfer RN to BSN, and it takes 2 years for you to do that. But United States has made it more easy and shortened time as well. So you can do an online RN to BSN program, which just takes approximately 1 year. And there are some schools like Grand Canyon University, University of Oklahoma, but the most popular schools that international students go in for is Grand Canyon University. Like you can do an RN to BSN online program in less than 1 year for you to have your bachelor's in nursing, and most international students going for it. So by that time you're in college, looking forward to get your associate degree, you're already working, and before you know it, after that, you've been able to save funds for you to pay like for school fees when you're transferring from an RN to BSN, because university is expensive in the United States. Unless you find a scholarship, like as I've been saying, it's very expensive. So while you're working, because colleges, universities, you have rooms to work. And if you stay for 1 year, you can work outside the university and then gather funds by working different places. And then you can be able to save up some funds for working, for paying up your school fees in your bachelor's degree program. And then for medical courses, for medicine and surgery in the United States, it takes like about 9 years to become a doctor, because you have to have a bachelor. You have to have a bachelor's degree program. Is bachelor's degree program, yes, either in nursing, in one of the paramedical fields, not just in any field. So either in nursing, either in occupational therapies, physical therapies, and so on and so forth. So after that, after getting your bachelor's degree, then you go into the MBBS program. They call it MBBS program here for 4 years. And after that, you go into your residency program, which lasts about 2 to 3 years. I have another friend too. She's in nursing currently, and her major dream is to be a medical doctor. But what she's doing now, she's an international student. She's from Nigeria. So she came in through, she wrote her SAT and she had her English. And then she came into the college where I attend at Wait in Iowa. And she's studying nursing currently. And so her plan is to, after getting her associate degree, after becoming an RN, she'll do an RN to BSN online course. And after getting her degree, then she transfers into the medical field, which takes about everything will take about, for her to get into the medical school, everything will take up, since she's going through an online program, it will take about 3 years for her to complete. And by God's grace, she'll be completing next year. And then she'll go into the bachelor's degree program, and from there she'll pursue her medical dream. So I hope everything I've said helps you. I hope the Choma will talk more on applications, because I did not come into the United States to study. It was more like a relocation. So I don't really have so much details concerning application processes to universities. I don't really have so much details about it. And I believe Choma has very much details to talk about. Thank you.
Oh, thanks a lot there. You have done well. I believe that other persons listening have also learned one or two things from what you have said. So it is nice for everyone to know that this is a process, and then one is an obtainable process. One can follow it and then learn to the person's brain. Thank you for that. I believe a whole lot of persons maybe having need to ask questions in this line, but who don't accept questions yet until trauma is done with her own, after which we can have a collective question and answer session. So, Choma, can you jump into the ring and then tell us what you have for us? Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Choma Bedamazu. I am a master's student in electrical engineering. I came to the US when I was 17 for my undergraduate in electrical engineering. So I've been here for quite a while. I did my undergraduate at New Mexico State University, and I'm currently doing my master's there also. So I will be talking about the process from the application process, mostly from coming directly from high school in Nigeria to the US university or college. I currently, like I stated earlier, I'm currently attending New Mexico State University, and I'm also going there with about 3 of my siblings that I also helped come here right from high school. So I can say I have quite a vast knowledge on how to go about the process. So to go into it, first of all, I would like to point out that coming here is not something that happens instantly. For me, it took me 2 years for me to come here. I had numerous visa rejections before I was able to get my one visa that allowed me to come here. And that was what made me realize that everything is a process. For my siblings, it took a whole year after graduating for them to be able to come here. So the first steps that you have to take in order for you to be able to successfully come to the US is firstly, you have to know what schools you want to attend. What part of the US do you want to go to? You have to consider the weather, the climate, the environment. Like she pointed out earlier, that it's cheaper to come to states that don't have high cost of living. Like when I came to Las Cruces, there was a time we were paying rent for a 2-bedroom apartment for $500. And that's something you can find in places like New York or New Jersey. And having lower cost of living means the tuition isn't so crazy. So even if for some reason you can't get a scholarship, it's still a little bit affordable. Like I had one of my sisters who started in University of Pembroke, North Carolina. Honestly, if you know anything about North Carolina, it's only Charlotte that's more civilized. The rest places are like villages. And she didn't have a scholarship, and the fees were not so crazy, about $8,000 per semester, which is moderately really cheap if you're coming for an undergraduate here in the US. At NMSU, if you don't have a scholarship, you'll be paying close to $15,000 every semester. So in a year, you're paying $30,000, which is a lot of money. But so the first thing you have to know is what school you want to attend. Where do you want to live? If you're not the type of person that likes the cold, you don't want to stay in a place like New York or Pennsylvania or in the East Coast in general. After finding and narrowing down the areas you want to live, then you look at the schools. Which of them are international friendly? And when I say international friendly, I'm talking about scholarships. Which of them offer good scholarships to international students? Because not a lot of schools offer good scholarships. Like there are some schools like in the East Coast, they do offer scholarship, but they'll offer you like $8,000 scholarship and their tuition is like $20,000. That's not going to do anything for you. At New Mexico State University, they offer you an $8,000 scholarship, but the tuition is about $15,000. So by the time you take out eight, you'll be probably paying about $6,000 or $5,000, which it's a huge difference compared to other places. So you have to look for good scholarship. There are some universities in the United States that actually give you full funding as an undergrad, but you have to be exceptionally good. Like your grades have to be good, your SATs, your TOEFL, your ITLES, everything has to be like at the pick. You have to be among the 1%ers, have great recommendation letters, because those schools definitely are going to be very competitive. And it's not just people from Nigeria that are applying. You have people from China, India, those places that we know are where the brains are at. So you have to be exceptionally well and good in your academics to be able to get that full funding. But if you want a partial funding, there are a lot of schools that offer that, like in New Mexico, Texas, and some other places that have like low standards of living, like I mentioned earlier. So when you have that figured out, then you have to look at their requirements. Do they need you to write an SAT, TOEFL? Some schools waiver that, some schools don't. So you have to look at all that. Then also you have to look at your WAEC. Do you meet the minimum GPA they require? A lot of universities, especially if you're looking for scholarship, require you to have a 3.0 GPA. And in order for you to know what that is from your WAEC, you have to do a WAEC converter. You can use either WES or Spantran. Those are the two I know that most universities accept. So you do that. And also a 3.0 GPA is kind of like a second class lower. So if you know the grades to get a second class lower, that's the grades you should have in your WAEC, which consists mostly of B's and A's. C's not really. Then you want to have your SAT. In your SAT, you should have a minimum of 1,100. Like I had 990, and I just got lucky because I applied to NMSU. But I know that if you want something bigger, go to a better school, you have to have something higher. At a minimum of 1,100, 1,200 get you into a pretty good school and good scholarships. Then for your TOEFL, you have to have a minimum of, for NMSU, it's a minimum of 68 to get their scholarship, but the scholarship has gotten so competitive that I honestly advise you to get 80 and above in order to be among their first picks. You have to have your TOEFL. It's either you have TOEFL or you have your IELTS. I didn't take IELTS, so I don't really have much knowledge about that. It's mostly TOEFL. I feel TOEFL is easier, so. But you have to have that. And when you have all these documents, then you start applying to different schools. I say apply to at least 3 schools. Because I know application isn't cheap either. They'll charge you at least a minimum of $50 for each application. But I would say 3 schools is always safe so that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So after the application process, then you have your waiting period where you wait to hear back from the university and wait to start your visa process. And I always advise people that during that waiting period, don't just be at home doing nothing. Learn a skill. This is something people don't tell you about coming to the US. Having a skill is very important. Yes, she pointed out that you can work on campus as an international student, but you'll be making minimum wage, and that minimum wage can't really cover like half of your tuition. Like I'm lucky that my parents are able to afford it, but if I had to depend on my own finances, the jobs I had on campus wouldn't have been enough to pay for my tuition. They were just enough for me to pay for my own pocket money. That's all. So having a skill kind of supplements, because I learned how to braid and also how to do tailoring. So now I have a little side business where I braid hair, and I got lucky that here in Las Cruces, there's a handful of Black people, but not a lot of braiders. So I kind of monopolize the market. So having those skills actually help you when you come here. And also, she also mentioned that you can work off campus after a year. You can, technically that's right, but you can only work in your field of study. So you have to, in order for you to work off campus after a year, you have to apply for a CPT. And your school will only approve that CPT if it's in your field of study. That means you are basically practice, it's kind of your IT you have in Nigerian university. That's what CPT is for, it's an internship. That's the only way you can work off campus. It's not like you can go get a job at McDonald's or Chick-fil-A and they will approve your CPT. No, that's not it. So having a skill that you can use to make money is really good and helpful. So that being said, you get from the university, you get your scholarship, you get your admission, great. The next step is your visa process. And that's the defining moment, because the truth is that getting admission into the US isn't that hard. Like if you have a good WAEC result, you're in. Getting a scholarship, that's another hurdle. Then the main hurdle that you have to jump is getting your visa. As an international student, especially as an undergrad, it's a tricky thing, especially I think the older you get for an undergraduate international student, the harder it is for you to kind of get your visa. If it's for a master's program, it's kind of okay. But if you're like 22, 23 coming to apply for an undergraduate program, it tends to raise eyebrows in the visa office. They're like, is this person going to come back, or is she just trying to run away? So you have to really sell yourself at that point. Make sure you have all the right documents. You have to cross-check your I-20. Make sure your scholarship reflects on your I-20. That was one mistake I made, which made me keep going back and getting my rejections after rejections. So make sure it reflects on the I-20. Make sure you have your sponsorship letter. You have a bank statement that's either exactly the amount on your I-20 or more than the amount on your I-20. Then you have to have your sponsorship letter. That's very important. You have to have your admission letter. Sometimes carry your scholarship letter too. They might ask, they might not ask. Have all the required documents. Fill out your DS-160 correctly, especially in the part where they're like, oh, where are you going to stay in the US? And you go, let's say you have a relative and you go put the relative's address, that they frown on that. You put the school address there because it's going to help them know that, okay, you're purely coming here to study. And when you're done studying, you're going to come back to your country. That should be your main goal when you go to your visa interview. Then after your visa process, you're good to go. You want to try to start your visa process the moment you get your admission letter, the moment you get your I-20 started, because I know now it's very hard for you to get like visa appointments. So you want to start that immediately. And if you can't get a visa appointment, you can always apply for an emergency visa. You just have to write to the embassy, I think, and state your case that, oh, you're resuming school so and you can't get a date for that. And another important thing, during the application process, you want to be going on the school website and make sure you have like looking at your email frequently, because they will send you a lot of information during that period. You want to know your deadlines. You want to sorry, can you give me an example so that I can explain more in depth? The person that's sent the message on the group. Okay,
I think what you do is I understand some of the things the person is saying, but it's about I-20 and the rest. We're going to handle some of those things. Just continue in the
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I-20 is the document they give international students, letting the Homeland Security know that you're coming here to study. It has all your information there, your name, your address, your school name, your start date and your end date, everything in there. Then also accommodation. One thing I want to recommend is, if you can, try to apply to places that you have family or friends, because accommodation can also be something that can make your expenses large, because in most universities here in the US, they require freshmen, which is first year students, to stay on campus for a year before they can move off campus. So if you have family, they can waiver that for you, or even just a friend who can pose as your family member, they can allow you, they can waiver that for you to stay off campus. But if you don't, you don't have any choice but to stay on campus. But the dorm fees are expensive, so I really recommend, especially if you're coming from undergraduate, apply somewhere you have family, because accommodation, feeding, those things tend to add up money. Like, I'll give an example. My sister, when she first came here, she didn't come to New Mexico like me because she couldn't get a scholarship with her WAEC results. So she went to a university in Pembroke that was offering a huge discounts for international students, but she had to stay in the dorms. Her tuition was just $8,000, but by the time her dorm fees came in and her feeding fees came in, it took it up to $12,000, which was a lot of money. So I always recommend try to stay where you have friends and families. For undergraduate masters, you don't that requirement isn't there, so you can always get housing off campus, which is cheaper because you can stay with, have a roommate, have multiple roommates, and you guys split all the expenses. So that is cheaper, but I always advise, please try to stay where you have family. Yeah, I think I've covered most of what I had prepared, because I already talked about getting a side hustle, how important that is. Your WAEC results, you definitely, if your WAEC, you can also IGCSE, which is the British exam. Also, you can use that result if you have it instead of your WAEC results. So is it that your WAEC or your IGCSE? Those two results count for, like, are eligible to be used in application into a US university, but you also have to convert them. Most universities require you to convert them, and you can do that at sites like WES, which is World Education Service. If you just Google it, it will pop up, or Spantran. If you just type in your computer, it will pop up. The process is pretty easy. You just have to pay money, and they convert it and send it directly to your school. And if you want a copy, they can send one to you too. Then you have your SATs. You really want to prepare for that. There are centers in Nigeria where you can get lessons. There are books online where you can download and study for your SATs and TOEFL. And that's pretty much everything I have prepared. I'm sorry if I spoke really fast.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Choma. Um, I believe a whole lot of persons do not know that going to one can move to the US from WIAC to do undergraduate and all of that. But the um, insights of giving to this have really opened our eyes to how these things work. And I believe a lot of persons will start looking at that, especially now Nigerian universities are becoming too costly, you know. So I believe some people will be looking at that. So at this moment, we'll be opening doors for questions. And then wherever you are on platforms, on YouTube, on inside our indoor platforms, you can actually ask your question and then let us know. But we have also shared the Zoom link to the platform so that you can easily enter and then let us know so that we can add you up and you make your questions, you ask your questions so that either Mary or Choma could answer your question. But just know that some of the abbreviations I-20 and some of the tips they give that you're not familiar with, we also have a plan where we can come and answer all of those things and also give you, after this meeting in the coming days, we are going to compile a whole lot of things and send on our indoor platform. That's why it is important to do on our indoor platforms so that you can follow the link and see all the things you need to know and then get used to some of those things like I-20, like TOEFL, all those English tests and all of that. You may need to know about that. And then where's the evaluation and all of that. So all those things, people have used it in time past and it works. And then you can also use it. The mistake many people make is that you're thinking that agents will do everything for you. You want to have an agent, you want agent to just do it and you're sleeping. most of these things you can do it without agents. You can actually do without agents. That is what we want to teach people. We believe in doing it yourself, so that as you pass through the process, you will learn from it. When you have questions, you ask people that have gone ahead of you. But if you want agents to do everything, they are ready to also do it and then eat their money. So at this moment, if you have questions and um you're already here, I mean you are already um on the Zoom, please let us know. Just use the hand raiser indication to raise your hand, then we'll give you space for you to talk. Just let us know. For those that have questions, or it appear, when a teacher finishes saying something and people don't ask questions, it appears people learn a lot, and everything you say that were described. So some persons don't have questions. I was thinking that the issue of undergraduates is something that a lot of persons will ask questions, because in the course of our graduate discussions, there have been popped up questions about undergraduates, and then that is one of the reasons we consider bringing in people who are experienced in that field, in that segment. Yeah. So let's have those who wants to ask questions, please enter the link and ask your question. Okay, so they are saying they don't have the link yet. So let me resend it for them to them. So then YouTube. So let me check some of these persons that have questions. Okay, there are a lot of questions actually here on YouTube. So somebody said my question is um okay, on the YouTube, those on the YouTube, one of the persons asked a question. My question is, do you get scholarship before looking for admission, or do you get admission before looking for scholarship? How is the process in the UK, in the US?
You get admission before looking for scholarship, or you can look for both at the same time. And you apply for scholarship after you get admission. You have to look for both of them at the same time. So before you apply, you should know if the school has a scholarship.
Okay. So there is a way to know if it's a particular school offers scholarship, or a
Yes, you
particular
just
department
have to
offers
Google
scholarship.
it. Google will be your best friend. Just say the school international student scholarship. All the results will pop out. It's the same thing with NMSU. If you just type NMSU International Student Scholarship, it will take you to the page where they have their scholarship form. And some school scholarship process is way easier than others. Like NMSU, you just have to fill out a form and that's it. Some other schools will ask for recommendation letters. They will ask you for you to articulate your parents' finances and all that. So you have to know all this information before you apply, but you apply for scholarship after you get admission.
Okay, thank you. So another question here says, where can I write any English test? Okay, so this one we can handle it. We plan on giving a list where people can write it in Nigeria. You know, perhaps if you are in Ghana, I think it could be different. In Ghana, where you write it in Ghana could also be different. So we have Ghanaians who will also tell us some of this is will compile and send to you. But I believe every country in Africa have places where they are rights. Even those that are non-English speaking, they have places. I have a friend from Togo who also is in the US, so he wrote this things and made it here. So please, if you are joining us on Zoom, please we beg you to mute yourself. Please mute yourself if you are joining us on Zoom. Okay, so another question here. Um, from Emmanuel Ibabuchi. Medical training is seriously expensive in the US. You may want to explore. Okay. I think this one is a contribution. You may want to explore Caribbean countries if you really want to train abroad or train in Nigeria and then write foreign exams. Okay. Do you undergraduate admission come with scholarship? I think you have answered that question. Um, okay, so you don't have to be from Nigeria to apply. You have to any part of Africa. You can apply from any part of Africa. So I'm looking for questions. So are there people with questions on Zoom already? Because these are questions on the YouTube I was looking at. So are there questions? A whole lot of persons have joined in the Zoom, but if you have a question and you're on Zoom, please let us know. If you have a question and you're on Zoom, let us know, please. Or if you're on WhatsApp and you have a question, let us know. I think we do not have a whole lot of questions at this moment, as we expected.
I don't know of any scholarship platforms. Usually, if you just go to the school, because finding additional scholarship that are not from the school for international students can be a little bit tricky. So your best bet would be going to the school website and asking them or Googling if they have scholarships for international students.
Okay, Choma, can you also please respond to that English proficient test where people can write it? I believe you wrote one in Nigeria. Do you have?
Yeah, because I lived in Warri, Nigeria. It's not like I lived in a place like Lagos. So, my mom the study center I was taking summer classes at also offered that. That's where I took it. But the first time I wrote TOEFL, I took it with the A-level school I attended at that time. So I don't really know centers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. My mom took care of
Okay.
for the
Okay.
places.
So
If I'm being
yeah,
honest.
it's okay. I understand. I have a couple of friends that have written that. Like I said, we are going to list some of those centers, especially within the geopolitical regions in Nigeria, so that you will know. I know one have written in Enugu before. I know some who have written in Lagos, so that you know where you can actually write either GRE or you are writing English proficiency exams. There are centers across major states within a geopolitical zone in Nigeria.
Oh yeah, and I just remembered. You can actually register for those exams yourself, like SAT and TOEFL. You can register, and when you register, they tell you where the centers is. I think where people will have issues where they can study for it, because
Okay.
registration and writing the exam, when you're registering for it online, if you go to SAT College Board and you fill out the information, everything, and also you need to have an international passport to write SAT or TOEFL. I have to make
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so.
Yeah. I
So
think I think
just
we have
register
made
for
that.
it yourself and they'll tell you what center to go to and you just go there.
Okay, I think we have made that point clear in our first interaction we have that among the requirements for any scholarship, you must have your international passport ready because a whole lot of things are required with that. So then materials for those exams, we have materials from people who have written it. We are going to share link so that you can download it from our Google Drive, and then you can actually. There are a lot of persons that prepared themselves. They didn't go to centers. They're prepared by themselves. So those things are also done. They are done. So are there any other questions that we have here so that we can? There is a question on YouTube. Says, if you are in the university already, can you apply for undergraduate program?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So another somebody was asking. Um, okay, I think someone was also making a very crucial um, comment. I think many people have challenges with English proficiency, and he was saying that it is good for you to perhaps get familiar with American movies and some of things, so get to understand how
Yeah.
the accents go and all of that. So
Yes,
you have
that would
something to add on.
definitely help because some of their accents here are really thick. So
Yes.
you watch a lot of the American movies, you get used to how they speak. And that will also be helpful when you write your TOEFL because there is a listening section where someone speaks and you have to type out your answers. And I think there's also a speaking session in your TOEFL. So you have to be able to enunciate your words properly and understand them. And also with the transferring, applying to undergraduate program while you're in university, you can do that. You just have to make sure you inform your school so that they can update your I-20, which is basically telling the Homeland Security that, oh, there's been a change of status for this student. Like it's the same process even when you're transferring from one college to another or from a college to a university.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Um, I'm looking out to know if we have other questions, but at this moment we do not. We do not have other questions here. So, but just before we wrap it up for a call it a day, wanted to get perhaps a final words from our guest. Mary, do you have something to tell us that could be a final word? Because I was thinking we're going to have a lot of questions, but we do not. But I believe if you are coming or you are watching this records much later, please, we want you to know that you can still drop your question. Then we will send it to our guests. We send it to Choma or Mary, the ones that could answer. Any response they give us, we'll send it to our platform. That will help us because um, I believe a whole lot of persons may watch it later on. That's what I'm thinking. Then, though somebody asking about graduate studies, we have a lot of things about graduates. That's what we have been talking about. Please check our YouTube channel. We have said a whole lot about graduates. For this particular platform, concentrate more on graduate studies, postgraduate studies, even than the undergraduates. And that's why we needed to bring in people who have undergraduate history so that they will come and tell us what we need to know. But on postgraduates, we have said a lot, and a whole lot of things will still be said about postgraduate studies. I believe next Sunday, a whole lot of things will also be said. Throughout this month, we'll be talking about postgraduate studies and a whole lot of things you need to know about it. So can we get a final note from Mary on this?
Yeah, you just like I said, the school's websites, they will let you know if they give you fully funded scholarship. Like I can give you one school that I know give fully funded scholarship. It's called TUF, TUFT, Tufts University. It's a Christian private university. They give fully funded scholarship. I know of a friend's relative that's there, and I tried getting my sister in there, but like I said, fully funded scholarships are super competitive. My sister almost had a perfect score in SAT, had straight A's in her IGCSE, and she still couldn't get in. So you have to be among the 1% and have a very good recommendation letter in order to get it.
Okay. So thank you very much. So do we have final word. Mary, are you still here?
Yes.
Okay, please turn on. Thank you. So we have had some time to attend to some questions, even though we do not have as many as we expected. Can you give us a final word so that at least those who think that this thing is not possible or is not for them will know that there's possibility existing there?
Okay. I would advise you to pursue your dreams. If you really have the desire to study in the United States, don't just sit still and wait for miracle to fall from heaven. Make a move. And as you make a move, you take the next step and keep pushing until you find yourself here and until you start studying. And like we've as Choma has already said, scholarships are very important. So try and look for scholarships. Once you get to school, make sure you go ahead, browse, look for scholarships. Don't just focus on one website. Like search all around Google. You surely find one that will suit you. And if you don't have any means for scholarship, if it's just your parents who will train you and they are not so like wealthy, so to say, you can as well go through a college which will help you save funds and then continue your education. And then one other thing I would say is that when you're coming here, have this mindset that you want to create a name for yourself and then fulfill destiny. I've seen so many African students come over to the United States and then they drop out of school, or one thing or the other will just happen. And then before you know it, they are they are into drugs and one thing or the other. So if you are coming here, make up your mind to pursue your academic dreams and make a name for your continent, make a name for your country, and be the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are talking from what experience is already gathered. So, Choma, can we quickly have you encourage those back home who think this
Um,
starts is not for me?
I want to say one thing first. There's no timeline because I've talked to people and they're like, oh my God, all my mates are in school. I'm still here at home. I'm like, I stayed 2 years at home after high school. There's no timeline. You make your own timeline. So don't feel pressured that you're not where your peers are yet. And also don't have the mindset that when you come here, everything is going to be all rosy and life is going to be better. No, when you come here, that's the beginning of a whole new journey. Because here you have to make sure you're on top of your grades, especially if you're in a scholarship. There's a specific GPA they expect you to have every semester. So you have to always put out your best. And like Nemir said, you want to make a name for yourself because international students here, it's hard, especially if you plan on getting a job after. You have to make sure that your GPA, your volunteering, your resume is looking perfect and attractive for workers because it's really competitive. Here, they want to help the Americans before they help the international. So you have to give them a reason why they should pick you and why you're perfect for the job. So you definitely want to be on your best behavior and have a goal, have a mindset. Yeah, you should have a reason why you're coming here. Let it not be you're just trying to get away from suffering. Hey, you're running from one suffering to another. It's not like you come here and there's no suffering. There are going to be hard times. There are going to be times where you want to give up. I tell people in Nigeria, you're physically stressed. In America, you are mentally stressed. So having a community when you get here is going to be very helpful because the times when you're going to be down and you need people to talk to or cry with, you're gonna need people. Like people in Nigeria might not understand. So you need a good community here. Whatever, if it's your church, your mosque, your friends in school, you're just gonna need a community because it's gonna help you. Like when you get here, you're gonna see that mental health it's a real thing. So just try not to put so much pressure on yourself. Most importantly, you don't have to follow everybody's timeline. You create your own destiny and you make your own part. That's all.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that. Timings also differ, so don't think that your own timing have passed. No, as long as you're alive and you keep pushing, we just say you should keep hope alive. And you may wonder why we are running so fast today. Yeah, because we actually have to. Please, we want to tell you that next week, we're going to announce next weekend we'll be focusing on some areas. We'll be looking at scholarship opportunities in agri-related areas, agro areas. A whole lot of persons have BSc already in agri field, maybe crop science, agri extension, and others. But they do not know that they can use that to advance their pursuit. So next week we'll be calling people who have come to the US to study agri-related fields. So please tell your well, we're going to bring out the poster or the flyer maybe by Monday or thereabout. But please, we want you to share with your friends, your family members, so that they could also know that there's opportunity. And as we began, we'll also be looking at other fields. We want people to know opportunities existing for them. One thing I want to leave you here is if you are staying in Nigeria, in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Mali, or anywhere part of Africa where you are, begin now to acquire skills. Someone have pointed about it. If you must survive well with an egg in the US, you definitely need a skill. You can also go and learn how to drive. All those things are very important. Learn how to make hair, learn how to do anything. Because when you come here, those things could be a help for you here. Please join our indoor platforms and follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, and also subscribe to our YouTube, follow our pages so that you can get information as we inform them. We want everyone who um, want to really succeed, see there are pathways to doing that. Thank you very much for today, and thank you for coming to join us today. Thank you, Choma. Thank you, Mary, for the time people have shared with us. Please, we are going to make this. The program is already streamed on the YouTube, so you can go and view it there, so that you can also copy the link and send it to friends who are not here, so that they will know that there is possibility existing for them even here in the US. Thank you. Bye for now.
Please, I want to ask you a question. I'm very sorry.
The time the time have passed, please, because we have another program. So comment on the indoor platform so that we can handle it.
All right, no problem.